Yeah, I wasn't expecting Zhang Liao to be this good. With Zhang Liao being our brand new 5-star Electro character, which you are able to pick up for free by just playing through a small portion of an event, you will have access to one of the hardest hitting DPS characters in the game. However, not only does his damage dealing capabilities make him shine, but also a few other factors such as his flexibility and, for some players, the ability to build him up very easily. So with the release of Zhang Liao, I do truly believe this does change everything in regards to the characters you should pick up moving forward, the meta in general, and just supports Wuthering Waves being one of the best or even possibly the best free-to-play friendly game in the gacha space. Just before we dive in any further, as always, would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel for more Wuthering Waves content and drop a like if you enjoyed the video. Now, as for what makes Zhang Liao so special, after having some time to play around with Zhang Liao, it's difficult to not mention how smooth he feels to play with, along with the ability to deal some insane damage. I personally don't have the signature weapon as I'm using the Stonard, but I know Zhang Liao with his signature weapon is able to hit for 200,000 plus damage, which is crazy. However, even with something like the Stonard or the Abyss Surges, Zhang Liao is still able to deal some really good damage and will deal enough to clear pretty much all content. Though if you do have the optimal build for Zhang Liao, which includes his signature weapon, in terms of screenshot damage, Zhang Liao is actually second to Jin Shi, which is a feat in itself considering how broken Jin Shi is. As for DPS per rotation, Zhang Liao might even be edging out Chang Li, which is seriously impressive considering he is free. Of course, it does help that Zhang Liao has Yanlin alongside him, which majorly buffs his Electro and Liberation damage. So maybe when Chang Li receives a dedicated support as well, the tables may turn, but either way, as a damage dealer, Zhang Liao is definitely up there amongst the best. Now, as for a special feature with Zhang Liao's Liberation that went unnoticed during his early access, once Zhang Liao enters the intuition mode through his Liberation and activates the Law of Rain's attack, Zhang Liao is able to slow down time for a few seconds, which allows you to reposition or prepare for the attack coming at you. Which is a bit reminiscent of Spectra Rover's unique outro skill of being able to manipulate time for a few seconds. But Zhang Liao is able to activate this up to 3 times during his intuition state. So along with the Liberation being able to deal a massive nuke, it also slows down time and allows you to deal up to 3 huge AoE attacks that deal great damage. So for players that haven't been fortunate with picking up main DPS characters for their account like Jin Shi or Jian, or have just started the game recently, Zhang Liao will certainly be a DPS character that holds an insane amount of value for your account, since the damage he is capable of will literally carry you through endgame content. Now, along with Zhang Liao being able to deal explosive damage, this is a bit more specific given the circumstances, but building Zhang Liao's optimal echo set for some players requires no effort at all. Since the players that heavily invested in Kulcharo, as he was one of the best DPS characters not too long ago, can seamlessly switch over his echoes to Zhang Liao since they both require the exact same echoes. So unlike other characters that you would likely need to farm tacit fields and open world echoes for, you would be able to save a ton of time by just switching the echo set from Kulcharo to Zhang Liao. However, given the ability to use echo sets on multiple characters in Tower of Adversity, it means you would still be able to use Kulcharo on one team and Zhang Liao on another team if you wanted to. So building a 5-star character has never been easier, since those of you that have built a solid echo set for Kulcharo would have had the easiest time in reaching those insane numbers that Zhang Liao is capable of. Now, another major quality Zhang Liao holds would be his insane flexibility in team building. Similarly to Kulcharo, Zhang Liao would synergize extremely well with characters that can provide an amp in Liberation damage. Of course, the golden synergy would be Zhang Liao and Yanlin, since not only would Zhang Liao's Liberation damage be increased, but so will his Electro damage bonus. However, even if you don't have Yanlin, there are many different options for Zhang Liao, such as Jian Xin being a solid support overall and being able to increase Zhang Liao's Liberation damage by a massive 38%. Then you have characters such as Chang Li, Anko, and even Sanhua, which would all be amazing secondary DPS characters. Dual DPS teams especially work very well with Zhang Liao since his attack animations do take up a bit of time. So with someone like Chang Li that can quick swap in during those long animations to deal a chunk of burst damage would work perfectly. Of course, Zhang Li is also one of Zhang Liao's best teammates if you don't have Yanlin due to the 25% liberation buff she is able to provide. Even with Sunhua being a 4-star character everyone picked up for free synergizes well with Zhang Liao, due to her very short field time paired with the Moonlit Cloud set, and if you have her at S6, she then offers a 20% attack boost to all allies. So there are many different team comps you can play with Zhang Liao, which ultimately makes him an amazing free-to-play friendly character. Now with Zhang Liao being as great of a DPS character as he is, I do believe he actually does change the way a lot of players may want to continue playing Wuthering Waves. With gacha games usually, there are players that may at times opt to pull for a character that allows them to clear endgame content with more ease. With that, it may come with the sacrifice of not pulling for characters that interest them more or they really like, and instead would pull for characters that would be considered as meta. In Wuthering Waves, there may have been some players that were dead set on pulling for Changli due to her obvious qualities, but when seeing the amount of damage Jin Shi was able to deal, they completely crumbled and pulled for Jin Shi since she is meta, which led to them not being able to pull for Changli. So now with Zhang Liao dropping in the game along with the masses of PGR players that have kinda been preaching this since day one, free characters are the way forward in Wuthering Waves and will be meta characters, which was a bit unbelievable at first, but here we are. So unlike in other gachas where free characters would not be anywhere near the level of being considered as meta, Zhang Liao has completely taken the reins and is arguably the third best DPS character in the game. So this means players would likely be able to focus even more now on characters that they like and would enjoy playing with more, as moving forward there will be more free characters that release that would be considered as meta, which would allow players to clear whatever endgame content there is with ease. Also, I don't expect us to just receive DPS characters, but even sub-DPS characters and support characters. So later down the line, we could receive a free sub-DPS character that rivals the value of Yanlin and Zheji, along with a support character that may rival the value of Arena, which would truly be insane to see. Now of course it goes without saying, but there is no guarantee on when we would receive our next free 5-star character, as it could now be a while. But just going off what PGR players have experienced, big milestones such as anniversaries or celebrations would be when we could expect another free 5-star character or even possibly a selector. Not sure if a limited character selector would be dropping anytime soon, but since it's happened in PGR, which I believe it has, and correct me if I'm mistaken, there is definitely a chance later down the line. So really, it could be whenever, as with Zhang Liao, he was given for free for no particular reason. There is the possibility he was given for free due to Kalcharo just having a terrible kit design, and the devs wanted to rectify the mistakes by providing us with a character that Kalcharo should have been like. Which does make complete sense, but there was no confirmation on this, so it could have been random for all we know. Either way, the whole concept of meta and having to pull for meta characters is definitely less of a concern now when it comes to Wuthering Waves in comparison to other gachas. Maybe not enough to the point where you'll be able to skip everything considered as meta, since we aren't sure on how frequent we would receive free characters, but the fact that top tier characters are given for free every now and then, allowing players to save a potential 160 summons is amazing enough in itself. Also, not to mention the weapon banners being guaranteed allows for players to also achieve the maximum potential of these free characters. Of course, pulling for a signature weapon isn't completely necessary, but the option to do so is there, and considering the amount of Ashrites you would save, definitely makes it an option to consider. So with that, Zhang Liao overall is definitely one of the best characters in the game, and is definitely the best free character in the game by far. The ability to deal damage that rivals some of the top DPS characters, along with having insane flexibility within team building, and just being insanely easy to build as he literally is just a Kalcharo replacement, makes him an extremely valuable character. So now, due to Zhang Liao dropping in game, it definitely lessens the burden and concern on having to focus on what is meta, and would just provide more of a reason to pull for who you want. Of course, some players may still want the very best like Jin Chi, but for those players that may just want the bare minimum, and for just a character to be able to carry their account through endgame content with ease, it definitely makes Wuthering Waves a much more enjoyable experience and extremely free to play friendly. And with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel for more Wuthering Waves content, and if you enjoyed the video, drop a like. Also drop a comment down below on your thoughts on Zhang Liao and just the fact that we may receive even more broken characters for free in the future. And yeah, hope to catch you guys later.